You're listening to Systemic Error Podcast. The failure was designed.
Trump can't escape his greatest foe, based on an article by Alex Henderson. Trump's power runs into the only institution still saying no. The story in one sentence. Donald Trump is still doing what authoritarian executives do, scapegoating children, punishing enemies, and trying to seize more control. The difference this time is that lower federal courts are repeatedly stopping the machine before it fully closes around the states. The real center of power. The source article gets one thing right. The people with actual institutional power are not the kindergartners in hijabs, not the voters being manipulated, and not the lawyers trying to explain away the wreckage. The power sits with Trump, his cabinet loyalists, and the federal apparatus they are trying to bend into a personal instrument. That includes Marco Rubio, who is not merely announcing policy. He is using the State Department to advance a regime agenda, this time by pushing to end the International Criminal Court. It also includes Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche, who is described as having cooked up a $1.8 billion anti-weaponization fund with Trump. That is not administrative drift. It is executive self-dealing, with a legal costume on top. Scapegoating as method. Trump reposting a racist attack on Somali kindergartners is not a sideshow. It is the politics. The target matters, not adults, not organizers, not officials, but small children at a kindergarten graduation ceremony. That choice strips away any pretense that the attack is about policy or debate. It is pure signal. Minority visibility becomes the crime, and community becomes the provocation. The end wokeness framing in the source is useful only as evidence of the smear's structure. Diversity is recast as decline. Hijabs are recast as invasion. A children's ceremony is turned into an emergency. That is how authoritarian politics works in practice. It does not begin with tanks. It begins with ordinary cruelty dressed up as cultural alarm. Courts are the brake, not the savior. Abramski's central argument is that Trump is running into a genuine institutional obstacle, the lower federal courts. On election systems, the article says he is losing in court after court. That matters. The courts are not a moral miracle. They are simply one of the few remaining institutions with enough formal authority to obstruct a president who wants to override state systems by force of assertion. But the article also notes the danger clearly. Trump may still try to proceed by invoking emergency powers, no matter what judges say. That is the important distinction. He is not constrained by principle. He is constrained by resistance. The courts are not curing the disease. They are delaying the spread. The Blanche example exposes the game. The $1.8 billion anti-weaponization fund is the kind of title designed to make corruption sound like governance. Judge Kathleen Williams' scathing ruling, along with her recommendation that the lawyers involved, including Blanche, be disciplined, cuts through that disguise. The fund is presented in the source as self-dealing, which is the right word. It is a political slush concept wrapped in anti-abuse language. And here is the institutional consequence that matters. This ruling may give Senate Republicans cover to reject Blanche's nomination. That is not a technicality. It shows how elite hesitation often requires a judicial paper trail before it will do the obvious thing. Republicans do not need moral clarity. They need permission. The court may supply it. What this pattern reveals. This story is not mainly about one racist repost, one bad fund, or one nomination fight. It is about a governing style that treats public institutions as tools of personal power and vulnerable people as disposable props. The cruelty is not incidental to the policy. It is the message that keeps the coalition together. The article's strongest implication is also its most uncomfortable one. Democracy is not being defended by automatic norms. It is being defended, piece by piece, by judges who still remember that laws exist, while the executive branch keeps testing how far it can go by manufacturing fear, laundering corruption, and calling both of those things leadership. You've been listening to Systemic Error. Thanks to AlterNet for today's article. With the automated voice of Lesak, thanks for listening.